Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. I'm old school, but I keep it funky fresh, y'all. And this is deep, y'all. I'm from the deep, y'all. And what you get is what you motherfuckers.
Well, welcome back. Well, the news and the internet are full of amazing content, and not everybody seems to have access to it. So what I like to do here on Meant to Vent Podcast News is put together some trending topics and some crazy headlines, and give you my outtakes and opinions in a not so familiar format. And with that said, let's get on with some vents, humans. Well, if the rich ain't getting crazier and more trying to be and protect the riches in crazier ways. I mean, geez. Aren't we the ones, like, as their fans, like, help them become that rich? Like, didn't we buy their records? Didn't we, like, watch all their movies? Didn't we, like, buy all their merchandise? And the way they want to repay us is making these billionaire bunkers, like these crazy underground bunkers that nobody will have access to. Or if you try to get access to, you might die. This is what's going on right now. Articles have been coming out. Some of them have just been, some celebrities have been just flat out telling you, like, I'm making a bunker, and fuck around and find out. Like, don't even come near it. And some of these bunkers have been said to have fire moats, water cannons, trap doors, and escape hatches. That's pretty wild, like, say, let's say, hypothetically, we don't want this to happen, but something crazy happens, apocalyptic, something crazy shit happens, right? Something goes off. And we all go, everybody has to go around and start scavenging and finding things and, rummaging for food, And you come across, a celebrity's neighborhood. There's like, these look like some big people's houses, man. Maybe there's somebody, but you go there, you see the Rock out in his front yard. You're already afraid to approach the Rock because he's a big guy. He's on juice. He's all juiced up. The dude might crush you with his hand. Like, it's, he might just smell what the Rock is cooking. You might be on the Rock's grill. All right. And you go up to the Rock like, Rock, you know what I'm saying? You're running over there like, yo, you're running over there to go see the Rock. And then his fucking fire moat turns on and he fucking hits you with the water cannon. Like, stay the fuck back, and fuck Hawaii. Like where he's from. Like, holy shit. Like, if you're a celebrity, we're going to do that to you. What is going on here? Like I said, they must know something's going on with all these crazy, secret meetings everybody be talking about that aren't true. And then you see like some crazy stuff I'll get into later, but, people starting to reveal some more truth or not, or talking crazy. People are talking crazy lately. And I'm not just saying like in the politic game, like people are talking crazy. Like Cat Williams comes out, talks in an interview, and then everybody starts like just saying crazy stuff all the time. But lately, some of these celebrities, are starting to act all a little crazy and a little erratic. They're starting to talk a lot of crazy stories. You're hearing a lot of different, reveals coming out. You don't know what's happening anymore. Like, who to trust? What's going on now? And it's getting crazier and crazier the more you think about it. And you start to wonder how crazy are they when more and more of them are seeing all these secret, society type things are really happening. And then you're starting to see these people, accusing you of these, like, putting all these symbolism and everything. Like, y'all are Satan worshipers and shit like that, right? But something's got to be happening if all these people are making these bunkers. They used to make jokes on that show. It used to be that, like, those preppers. And now these people that all have money are prepping like crazy. They're calling, and, like, my man was like, well, who was it? Rick Ross was like, I got a machine that makes water. Watch out, humans. Like, don't try to go to help, ask for your celebrities for the help, because I don't think they're going to give it to us. I'm not sure they're going to give it to us, So who knows? It's going to be a wild game. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a wild, interesting times. That's for sure. And like I said, in some crazy, in the fight game news, like I said, there's a fighter going out talking about crazy stuff going on and secret society parties and people eating babies. It's crazy. And at the same time as that crazy story's going on, he's part of a big mega fight, but Jake Paul happens to be fighting Mike Tyson. What the? Yeah. So Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are going to be fighting. And wow. Before I get started, cheers. And like I said, these guys are going to be fighting. This is wild. This is going to be a wild event. I call the guy Fake Paul, and I call his brother, I call his brother Low Hung Balls. Fake Paul and Low Hung Balls. These guys are good entertainers. They are. They're really good entertainers. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like when he goes into the boxing game, when he first started, I was giving him mad respect. The dude's, training really hard, putting in the work. But I just feel like his opponents, aren't like real boxing opponents. He's fighting old ass MMA fighters. A guy who was like a low grade fighter, but his brother was like the real fighter. And I don't really consider him like a real boxer, but he still beat the shit out of him. Tommy Fury beat the shit out of Jake Paul. And he was like a very low grade boxer. And the dude's like a model and shit. Like, I guess he's more of a model than a boxer. That's career's more than his boxing career. And he go in there and fucking shoe shined his ass. And then Jake Paul goes in here and fights these fucking two Uber drivers. Like, everybody was like, oh, this boxer's got a better record than Jake Paul. Yeah, the dude ain't fought for real. Like, who knows? He was literally driving Uber cars. Who knows? Goes in and fights him and gets knocked out. The other guy, who knows what happens? There was like 30 people at the fight. Who knows what happened? I guess he won that one too. But I feel like if you're going to fight boxers, if you're going to be a boxer, fight boxers, right? So then he goes and gets this big fight with Mike Tyson. Okay. Well, I understand. Okay. It's a big money fight. It's a big money grab, of course. But this is Mike Tyson, man. Like, the guy's almost 60 years old. Does he look dangerous when you see him train? He kind of does. He does look like he might have some explosiveness and some power, but he's also almost 60 years old. Okay? You've seen some sparring footage. We don't know if that's new or old. Anybody can hit the bags and look really good and hit the pads and look really good. And the pads don't hit back, right? That's true, right? But Tyson has great, crazy movement. This dude is a different animal. I feel like Tyson is like one of those warriors that were like, one of those old generation warriors back in time, like those guys that were still in charge of their general armies in their 80s and shit, and you had to like beat them to be the next general of the armies. Like, this dude's like a rare breed. To me, he looks still dangerous. Like, he still looks pretty dangerous, but I mean, I feel like for this kid, I don't know, man. I feel like for him it's like a lose-lose for the Fake Paul guy, like, because like everybody's like, oh, if you beat the guy, you just beat a 60-year-old guy. You know what I'm saying? And again, and if he loses, he's like, a 60-year-old guy beat your ass, but it's not a 60-year-old guy. This isn't like a regular 60-year-old guy. This is Mike Tyson. This is Mike Tyson, though. Like, if Mike Tyson beat you at 60 still, it was like, hey, man, it was Mike Tyson. He's got a lot of experience. Jake Paul really doesn't. He's got youth on his side. The kid's got a lot of power. The kid's got a great power in his hands. That's why I'll be afraid, like, if Tyson took one of them shots to see what would happen. Like, because he's so old, like a bad body shot or a big head shot, because he's almost 60. But let's say he does that and it doesn't hurt Mike Tyson, and then Mike Tyson has like maybe 3 or 4 rounds of like really good explosiveness. And Jake Paul sucks at closing the distance against anybody that can box. Like, look what he did with Tom Fury. Like Fury couldn't do shit. And then when he fought Nate Diaz, like, Nate Diaz was slow like slow like hair growing. Nate Diaz when they're throwing like fucking patty cake, fucking flat, slow motion, big ass pillows at him. And he had trouble with that. He had trouble with that distance, even though he still, pulled out the W. But in my opinion, like, Mike Tyson does look like he has some explosiveness, but we got to see what his endurance is as far as like punch endurance. Because, man, his experience is there. His power, they say the power is the last thing to go. And he looks really good, like I said, as far as his lateral movement. His legs look great. If your legs are there and you're a fighter, I mean, you're ahead of the game. I mean, look at like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Bernard Hopkins, some of the other fighters fought later into their game. I'm excluding like Foreman because he had a big break and came back in. I'm talking about the guys who just stayed active, like those guys were able to do it because their legs were in there. Their legs were in the game, and their body, mind, and legs can all communicate still. And that's very important in the fight game, and it looks like Tyson's body can do that. But I'm more curious about his punch endurance because this is going to be interesting. Like I said, this is going to be really interesting. And another thing, like when they start doing like the promotions for the fight, I hope Jake Paul doesn't like be disrespectful and go over there and try to play his little kid games and like try to take a hat off Mike Tyson or try to do some stupid shit like that. Because I don't think that's going to fly in the fight with a guy like him. And you really don't want to give Tyson any more, motivation, because it looks like he's really preparing mentally, he's preparing physically, and and third, mentally again, because the guy mentally, if you remember, the guy was like threatening to eat children, like the secret societies and all that shit, but like before fights. He was like, I'll eat your kids. Like he was just like, if he gets like that, and people are saying he's starting to have weird, weird little ego snaps and shit during his training. Like if that stuff happens, and he can take your punches, like just be afraid, man. This could be an interesting fight, that's for sure. But and back to Jake Paul, I know I was saying fake Paul a lot, but I'm just messing with the guy. The dude is putting in some work, but if you claim to be someone who really wants to box, like I said before, I just think you should fight, formidable boxers. Not these boxers that like, because he's a boxer that, your fans are going to fall for it. Like your fans that, that don't know about boxing, your fans that followed you from your social medias, they'll fall for them kind of fights. But as far as people that might be wanting to see you excel in the game when you want to talk about being a champion, it's going to take real boxers that are not 58 years old and are still very active in the game. And you're going to have to go out there and climb that ladder. And in my opinion, you might have the ability to do it, but I think you're going to excel, maybe win or lose some, but you're going to get there. If you want to get those championship type fights, I think you have to do it like everybody else. And you got to fight boxers, man, because I think the more and more you fight less boxers, the less you're going to excel and evolve as a fighter. The more you fight these UFC guys and shit like that, you look really good. But you're about to fight a guy who's 60 years old that might still have enough experience and enough movement and enough gusto to give you a lot of problems, to show you that you really got to get these yes men out your corner and learn some real boxing. Well, my name is Hyman, and I'll see y'all next time. See ya.